Welcome to the Seven Figure CEO podcast. This is your host, Casey Graham, and I'm here today with Selena Soo. How are you, Selena?
I'm good. Thanks for having me.
Great, great. Are you in New York today?
Yes, I'm in New York City.
Yes, I love it. I wish I lived in New York City. Does everybody tell you that? Do people?
Yeah, and there's some people that hate it.
Yeah,
Some people can only take a visit. Others of us, like myself, love being here year round.
right, right. So I love it, and but I don't know if I'd like it all the time. But regardless, in New York City, tell everybody about who are you and what you do.
Yeah, sure. So I'm a publicity and marketing strategist, and I help experts who feel like they're a hidden gem become household names in their industry. And there's two primary ways I do that. So one is helping them get publicity so that they can really reach more people and ultimately impact millions. Another one is helping them connect with influencers who can help them reach their goals faster. Because I really believe that behind everything we want, every opportunity, there's a person who can give it to us. So that's a big part of it. And then actually third, I also do, teach some business building strategies. And I have a course that helps people take their business off the ground and hit six figures. And I have a mastermind that helps people, hit the seven figure, or multi seven figure mark.
That's great. How in the world did you get into that?
Yeah, this world. I mean, I, got into this world in my mid late 20s when I had a quarter life crisis, and I was working at a nonprofit. I was making $42,000 a year, and I was just, very unhappy in my life. I had really low self-esteem, self-worth issues, and was feeling depressed. And so I, was just asking friends and people, like, I don't know, I want to feel better, like who can help me? And so I learned about this life coach, and I joined that life coaching group. And during that time, through the coach, I got exposed to all these thought leaders, like Deepak Chopra, Marianne Williamson, Louise Hay, and then this world of online entrepreneurs like Marie Forleo and Ramit Sethi. And I just felt like, when people are in pain and they're suffering, they don't need more information. They're really looking for that combination of information plus inspiration. And so I was really inspired by these role models who I felt embodied this message of possibility. And I didn't want to be the only person who knew about them, because in my peer group, like if I would mention these people's names, it'd be like, I don't know who Marie Forleo is. Like I never heard of Deepak
Sure.
Chopra or Louise Hay. And so maybe Deepak Chopra, yes, but like Louise Hay or Marianne Williamson. So that's kind of how I got started in helping entrepreneurs in this way.
Right. So let's even take it back further. Like, where are you
Yeah.
from? Where are you from? Like, how did you get? What did you do? Did you go to school? Like,
Yeah.
take me back.
Yeah, so I grew up in Hong Kong.
Oh wow.
So I lived there for almost 14 years. My dad is from China. My mom is from New Zealand.
Hmm.
And, I think my dad is someone who's naturally like very ambitious. At one point, he was the vice chairman of the Hong Kong Stock Exchange. And
Wow.
yeah, so he's like doing really big things. And I think he always had like big expectations for us. But, I have, brothers, and I would say that I'm the most motivated. So it's, it's a combination of things, but definitely being surrounded by my dad, who was really ambitious, like I think pushed me. And then I went to boarding school in the US when I was 14, and then ended up at Columbia University.
Wow.
But yeah, ever since really my college days, like I was always just naturally very entrepreneurial. And I was like, if there was something that I got really excited about, whether it was a cause or a person, I wanted to share it with the world. And I just noticed that I was really good at naturally connecting the dots between people, ideas, and opportunities. And so I was just used to doing that. And like I think it's, a big entrepreneurial, like I guess strength to be someone who can like hustle and also like connect the dots. So I just started doing stuff like that.
Yeah.
And yeah, I love it.
That's good. So let's dive even deeper into you, okay? Like your secret sauce, because you're talking about connect the dots between people and opportunity, those kind of things. Like, what would you say, if you stripped everything else away, the number one most unique ability that you have that's like the thing that is above all things for you? What is that ability?
Yeah, for me, it's definitely connecting with influencers. I'm able to reach out to people who are like impossible to reach, like Sheryl Sandberg level type person, and get a response and develop a deep relationship, even, while being someone who is naturally introverted and gets exhausted being around people all the time.
Oh, you are naturally introverted.
Yes.
Okay. So,
Yeah.
so how in the world do you do this? Let's just talk. Have you gotten in touch with Sheryl Sandberg?
Yeah, I have.
Like,
Yeah. And
how did you do it? Like, I mean, what was or is that in your course?
no, I
No,
mean,
no.
I can share that. It's in my course as well, but she's someone who I'm a huge fan of. I really admire her. And I saw an article online that said that she was going to come out with a book, called Lean In. And so I reached out to her in my mind. I was thinking, I want to help Sheryl Sandberg with publicity. Like maybe I'll be her publicist or whatever it is. And so I just reached out to her saying, I see that your book is
How did
coming
you
out.
reach out? How?
I through different contacts, I figured out like what her direct email address is. But that being said, I know a lot of people who've emailed her at her direct email address and haven't gotten a response. So that's like one step, getting the right contact information. But then it's also like, sending a strong email. And so basically, I just told her that I love what she was doing and I'm so excited about her book. And I would, love to help her. And I've got, a bunch of ideas. And she wrote back pretty quickly and she said that she already had a PR team in place, but she really appreciates the ideas and, welcomes any connections and things like that. And then so I wrote like a follow-up email with, just more details of ideas, specific podcasts, guest post sites and things like that. And just kind of like laid it all out. I was like, I'm happy to help, make any connections and that sort of thing. So yeah, I think like one of the big keys to my success in connecting with influencers is this philosophy I have, which is don't wait for opportunities, but create opportunities. And so a lot of people are like, oh, well, I wish I was friends with this person, or I wish, I could, connect with that person. And the way that I've done it is rather than like waiting for them to approach me, it's like I pay attention to what is happening in their world, what their needs are, what their goals are. And people sometimes will say, Selena, I'm not a mind reader. How do I know what's important to Sheryl Sandberg or to my favorite online influencer? But, if someone is coming out with a book, there's certain things that are probably going to be important to them, such as Amazon reviews, publicity, bulk book sales. Maybe they're doing a book tour and they need volunteers. You could just make a whole list. If someone is an expert entrepreneur, they need to sell more of their courses or more of their products. And so, we have the same needs as human beings. And when you figure out like what specific goals these people have, like their top needs are going to be connected to their goals. So yeah, I've just found a way to be a helpful person in a lot of people's lives. And sometimes those people have become clients. Other times we're just like really great friends that mutually support each other. But it's about identifying opportunities and being bold. And I think that, it is surprising to people that I've, done all these bold things, but I think that the reason why I'm able to do it is because it's not like I'm reaching out to some huge deal person to take something from them. It's more like, wow, I'm inspired by what they're doing. And I have an idea on how I can offer value and help them. And I'm also coming from a place where I admire the person so much that the act of contributing and being helpful is a reward. I'm not, thinking like I'm going to do this one thing and now
Convert.
yeah, like to convert or, it's like a high pressure thing. It's very like light. It's, it's so coming from that place of like abundance. And I think people can feel that. And so that's definitely been like secret to success.
That's good. So what I hear you saying is basically you're just helping people get what they want.
Yeah.
And what they want changes based upon what their goals are.
Yes.
And whether she was doing a book, somebody may be trying to start a company and they need a connection. Somebody may be they may mention something, but before you even say all that, the key is that you're paying attention. Like, like but is that just instinctive? So like, I instinctively kind of do that a little bit. I just, even with our current clients and stuff, like I can see what's happening in the world and I follow it and all that kind of stuff. Or is this like a strategy or is it both? Does that make sense?
Yeah. I mean, it's
Like, can you learn it? Can you learn it?
Oh yeah, no, you can definitely learn it. I mean, I think part of paying attention is also getting clear on who you want to pay attention to, because it can feel very like overwhelming to be like, okay, I know I need to make more connections in my industry. And there's like literally like hundreds of people that could be valuable. So what I tell you to do is identify what's their like number one business goal and then make a list of people who are connected to the goal, who have achieved that goal. Maybe they're or maybe they haven't achieved it, but they're 5 steps ahead of you. That's also helpful. Or maybe they can connect you to someone who can help you with it. And then you've got your influencer list, and ideally you've got like 20 or 30 people. I mean, I think if you've got too much more, it can be overwhelming to kind of keep track and be
Right.
focused. But just having like 3 people on your influencer list is like, too few. It's going to be like too high pressure, because what if one of them doesn't get back to you, or it just doesn't end up working out? So I like the idea of having, at least like, 20, maybe up to 30 people on your influencer list, and then paying attention to those people. So it could even be as simple as like putting a, invite in your calendar for you to, like, every month, just look at your influencer list, go onto Facebook, see what they're doing, set up a
Yeah.
Google alert, things like that. Subscribing to their newsletters.
Yeah. So it is number one, you got to know before anything, you got to know who do you want to be connected to, which is
Yeah.
connected to your number one business goal. Then you pay attention to them, and you put very specific steps in place to pay attention to them, which is probably going to be social or online related, where you can do that. And then after that, you meet their need in a contributing way. Would you say that's kind of the big picture of the strategy?
Yeah, that's a perfect summary.
Okay. So let's just talk about a bunch of people. So we have people that listen to this podcast is not a bunch of just online entrepreneurs that do we have from people who that they own cemeteries, for people who have grass cutting companies, to people who have all this stuff. Does wanting to connect with influencers matter for every business owner, or is it only for people who want to gain more influence? Like, what's the point if you're not wanting to be an online entrepreneur?
Yeah, no, that's such a good question. Yes, and absolutely. When people hear the term influencer, they often think like, Richard Branson or Oprah Winfrey,
Right,
or maybe they think like some famous online entrepreneur that's got a huge Twitter following. But, I think a lot of entrepreneurs could be like, is that even relevant to me? And so, influencer is someone who is, it's subjective. It's based on who you are and your personal business goals. So you may have a business, where.
Let me give you an example. Can I give you an example? Yeah. I know one listener. He has a, do you know what a big green egg is?
No, I don't.
Okay, so it's like this special grill thing, and he made this invention, this little torch deal, and he's a buddy of mine, his name's John, and John made this torch thing that makes it easier to light. It's genius. It's great, right? But he's just now getting it to market, and I heard him say this, Selena, and I said, well, if I were you, I would go out to all these, because Big Green Egg has all these influencers, and they've got all these channels, and they've got all these competitions, and they've got all these things. Like, that kind of relationship, is that where you would say for somebody with even just a physical product that they should be out connecting, like,
oh yeah,
with people?
100%. Yeah, I mean, I have so many thoughts. I mean, so, for that company, like a type of influencer may, depending on what their goals are, and maybe someone who could invest in the business to help it scale. It could be a distributor, someone with distributor relationships that could get it into other stores or help them reach more people online. I also consider super fans to be influencers. So
What's
maybe
that?
there's someone. So super fan is someone who is like super passionate about your work. They're your biggest cheerleader.
Gotcha.
And so maybe someone who has used that product with great success, who's an incredible case study or testimonial, and who wants to kind of shout the name of your product, from their rooftop. Like, that is someone who is also an influencer. So, it's not just people who are like, totally out of reach. There are also people that are part of your world right now who are really excited about what you do. And can, and just people who can connect you to the right people to reach your goals faster.
Yeah. And I would say that there's the one-to-many thing that you've done a great job is that you can get with that one that has many that follow them. And there's also what you're talking about is that we may already have many that may have smaller groups of influence that they can connect with many. So it's all about, at the end of the day, what you're talking about. I feel like going, okay, you got to know you got to get clear first on your business. And then all of the rest of it becomes clear on strategy with what influencer looks like to you. So, okay. Now let's shift. Can we shift gears?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. So that's cool. Now that's like a one-to-one thing. That's what you go out and you're doing, but you also have a business. So you're not just like a single person with just one, you have people that help you and you've got people around you. So tell me a little bit about your team, your structure, who helps you out? Like, do you have a bunch of virtual assistants? Like, do you have full-time staff? What does your structure look like?
Yeah. So right now I have a full-time project manager, which has been invaluable. She's like the glue of our company. And then under operations, I have like two customer service people that are part-time. We, have someone that helps with like Infusionsoft and things like that. I mean, these are all,
Right.
part-time contractors. And then I, outsource copywriting. I have someone that works with me on maybe about 20, 30 hours a week on basic copy and proofreading as part of the business. But we have like, other like copywriting specialists that we bring on. My boyfriend actually is a really big part of my business right now. And he just joined us a couple months ago, and he's been helping with, marketing and evergreen funnels and things like that. I mean, I like to think that overall it's a pretty lean team. It was bigger before, and we just kind of shifted some things in the company. But yeah, that's what my team looks like.
And what's your strategy with it? Like, what's your vision for your actual company? Like, what are you wanting to do with it? What's the goal? What's the purpose?
Yeah. So, I mean, we've been really successful with online courses, and I don't know, I love launching. I know a lot of people don't, but I enjoy it.
Why? Wait, so let's stop there. Why? Why do you love it? Because most people, it makes them crazy, and then they like go off the grid for 4 weeks after.
Yeah, it can make me crazy too, but I'm like a big planner. So I like planning things that like just having this incredible master plan, and seeing it executed. And also when you launch, it creates buzz in the industry in a way that you don't with an evergreen launch. So for example, with my most recent program launch for Impacting Millions, it's a $3,000 online program. We had 170 affiliates.
Wow.
And that's something that I'm really good at. I'm really good at like mobilizing people and getting other people excited to get behind a cause. And so that was a ton of work. And I did have a part-time affiliate manager help me with that as well. But like, you're not going to have like a big affiliate launch with like an evergreen program. It doesn't really work that way. I mean,
Sure.
You can maybe like do like, I don't know, work with a partner or some partners individually. So yeah, it created like a ton of buzz in the marketplace, and it really, boosted my brand, and, it like kind of laid the foundation for me to launch other things. So, but I don't, one of my mentors, Ron Reich, who is a launch strategist and, business strategist, says that, launches are really an event. Launches aren't a business model. And so, I know that.
Wow.
I think
that's really good.
That was interesting when I heard that, because I was like, wait, but that used to be my business model.
Right. Yeah.
But it was like a series of events that, were a little bit unpredictable. So now, with my boyfriend, we are dialing in like, evergreen funnels. Yeah, evergreen. And yeah, so that's what we've been doing.
But what's
so
the point? Why do you even do
Mm-hmm.
this? What's the point? Like, tell everybody what the course specifically is, like your signature course.
Yeah, sure. So my Impacting Millions course is all about, helping people go from, feeling like they're a best kept secret to having, everyone in the world sort of know their name, right? And it really focuses on publicity, so that instead of you telling everyone, oh, I'm great at what I do, or even relying on individual referrals on a one-on-one basis, that you're creating leverage around your ideas, your message, your story, and you're getting on, platforms like this podcast, for example, or a top website, magazines, TV, where you're not just one person's learning about you, but there are like, whether it's hundreds of very targeted people, thousands, or even millions.
That's good. That's good. Okay. And so people just, we've got more to go, but just in case somebody pops off, they can find you where? Like, how would they even get to like on your email list or opt in or learn more?
Yeah, they can go to selenasoo.com, SELENASOO.com to check out my website. And I've got different, freebies and giveaways there. And then also my Impacting Millions website, impactingmillions.com. And they'll get to check out the video series right away. I think we're going to be keeping it up for most of the year.
That's good. I'm going to flip back gears. Okay. I'm all over the place on purpose.
That's
but
good.
I want to get back to your secret sauce a little bit on these people, the Sheryl Sandbergs, not her specifically, but let's use her as the case study.
Yeah.
What has been the most interesting thing you've seen in meeting these people that were your heroes or that are your heroes, or the people that you would love to meet with one day, and then you have gotten to meet with them, and then there's some of them that maybe you become friends with or business acquaintances with? What's been something that's been super interesting, or something that you didn't think would happen along the way?
Yeah. What's been super interesting with these people I've met? I mean, I think that, it's just that they have like the same insecurities. Like you see people who have got these like shiny brands, and there's things about them that are so impressive, but it's like they've got their own set of challenges. It's like the problems never go away. It's just a different type of problem at every level of business. And also, insecurities. I mean, there are people who I thought like, oh my gosh, you're so good on camera and all of that. And I talked to them and they talk, and I realized that they were so terrified they had to really force themselves to do it. So I think a lot of times we think, oh, certain people are just, born stars, or they're just natural, entrepreneurs or whatever it is. And of course we all have our individual strengths, but, so many people are like struggling with things or find things really challenging and they just succeed in spite of it. And so I don't know. I think it just makes me feel better. I think it's good for people to know that like everyone's got their own set of challenges. It's not easy for anyone.
That's good. I'm going to speak a little bit into this, and then we'll talk back. We'll talk back and forth. No, I've had the same thing with like people that when I first started out, and we all follow people online, and we have there's people that were like, wow, they do this, and then over a course of 5-6 years, becoming friends with them. And becoming an actual safe place where it's like they're turned off. Mm-hmm. Have you ever experienced that to where you've become that for some of these people, and it's like, and that's why they trust you so much, is that you are somebody that they can relate with, and they don't have to be on with you? Does that make sense what I'm talking about?
Oh my God, that makes so much sense. Because
I can see it in your eyes.
People where it just like, it feels like work to be around someone. Yes. And there's just some people that you connect with more where you feel like you have to almost like, it's like, it feels like work, you almost have to perform. And there are other people where you can just like be yourself and kind of like be a little bit messy. I think, people appreciate that. And I think that sometimes, we put people on a pedestal. One of my favorite sayings is when you do that, when you put someone on a pedestal, that is the moment they start looking down on you. Mm. Right. And it's not that we can't admire people. I certainly look up to a lot of people. I'm a big super fan. I don't think being a fan is a bad thing. But I think it's when you put someone up on this pedestal and you expect them to be perfect and you approach them in a way where you're thinking, oh my gosh, like they're such a big deal. Why would they want to talk to me? I'm wasting their time. What could I possibly offer? And you've got all this negative self-talk and like, or thinking like, oh, my website sucks or this or negative things about yourself, like energetically, that's going to make it very hard to create that connection when you've got that, relationship where they're on the pedestal. And so, I mean, even though I do admire people, and sometimes I stay too much in the fangirl place for some people,
sure,
because I get so excited. But when as you start to connect with someone, especially around like adding value, it's like you're connecting more around like a shared goal.
Yes.
And that definitely, it's like you're on the same page, and that really helps with building a relationship.
So basically at the end of the day, if we boil all this down, if you're helping somebody, that's the number one piece of strategy and advice that works always. If you're helpful. So let's talk a little bit. We talked about what to do. Let's talk about things not to do in connecting with influencers. What are the lists where you're just like, these are no-nos, like stay away. And if you really want to screw it up, do this.
Yeah. I mean, I think one of the big mistakes is that we send, long emails to influencers or when we're talking to them, we have like this kind of monologue. And so what happens, and, I've been guilty of this before, is that there are people that we admire so much and we build them up in our minds and we've been following them. We know their personal story. We have just so much to say. And we feel like we've got this one shot. But when you think about how you communicate with a friend, you don't write a friend
sure,
typically an email that's super long or like,
unless you're mad at them.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Unless you're mad at them, or recite a 10-minute monologue because you're not going anywhere. And it's kind of like a back and forth. There's that sense of ease. And so, what happens is even though it's like amazing that you put a lot of thought into like a super long email, the person on the receiving end is like, wow, that's a lot for me to take in. And it can almost be intimidating to write back, because if they want to write back and write like a sentence or maybe 2 or 3, they feel like, is that disrespectful? Because someone just wrote me like 11 paragraph email.
Sure.
And it's just like, it's not how a natural relationship is formed. So I think, kind of watching the length of your email, that's one.
Okay. And then what do you ask them to do?
Yeah.
Like, how do you, does that make sense? Like, what's the call to action, I guess you would say? Because they're busy. They got a lot of things going on. And I get emails from random people sometimes, and they're like, hey, da-da-da-da. And I'm like, I have no idea who this person is. Like, they seem like a nice person, but there's no real, like, there's no connection here. They just want to talk. How do you do that?
Yeah. I mean, whenever I reach out to someone, I always just assume that they're extremely busy and they have no time. So for them to even read my email, that's, another thing on their to-do list. So you kind of want every email to be a gift in some way. And so sometimes an email might just be reaching out to express appreciation, And so if someone said to you, like, Casey, like, I'm a huge fan of your podcast. I've listened to like every single episode since you released it. And I just had to email you because your most recent episode was just like number one. Like, I love that personal story you shared, and I implemented this and got this result. Then that's like interesting to you, right?
Yeah.
And even there's no
we'd
call
read
to
that.
action.
Yeah.
Just like, thank you, you know?
Yeah. And they come on the radar then.
Right, right. Yeah. So typically with the very first email, you don't want to be making an ask or even necessarily offering anything. I mean, you can, but you don't need to. I mean, I think that, all of us are naturally just a little bit cautious. Like when we have no information about something, we want to kind of gather that information. And so with the first email, I think it's just kind of usually the best way is to express gratitude or appreciation.
Wow.
And it could even be like, like let's say, you hear someone's name coming up all the time and people are like, oh my God, you got to connect with this person. But that person is like super busy. They probably don't have time to connect with you. And maybe they charge like a ton of money for their time.
Right.
Maybe it's even just like, hey, I just wanted to reach out to you because like 4 people have mentioned your name in the past week to me. And thought that, there could be some synergies, and here's what I do. I love what you're doing. And I just wanted to introduce myself, just so that I'm on your radar whenever the time is right, whether we're going to, maybe we end up at the same event, or if there's anything that I can help you with, love to connect, but just kind of like light, but not like, necessarily asking for anything right away.
That's really good. Really good. Okay. So last thing would be like, what are some of the most creative ways you've seen people get people's attention and at work?
Yeah. I mean, let's see, some of the most creative ways. I mean, one of the things that I did to build a relationship with Pat Flynn is, well, number one, I paid attention. I was on his email list.
Right.
And he mentioned that he was going to be in New York City for a speaking event. And I thought, I could maybe like I was thinking, I'd love to meet him, but even better, I would love to organize a little influencer dinner party for him because everybody wants to meet him. But, people have limited time. But if I gather together some really interesting people, like that could be interesting. And so I reached out to him and said, hey, Pat, we've got a bunch of mutual friends. I saw in your newsletter that you're going to be in town, and I would love to organize a little influencer dinner party for you. I was thinking that we could invite, XYZ mutual friends.
Gotcha.
People that I know he really likes. And what do you think? And then his assistant got back to me and she wanted more details. And, I gave them to her. And then we set this dinner, and we had like people like Ramit Sethi attend, Derek Halpern, Kimra Luna, Todd Herman, Ryan Lee, a bunch of like awesome people. And so it was like so nice because he just had to show up, and it was like, it was fun for me, and it was like just a win-win all around.
Yeah, that's so smart. That's so smart. You act like this is easy, but like you're just really good at it. Like
oh yeah, this stuff is like easy and obvious to me.
I know, but gosh, it is not for everybody else. And I think more than anything, just having the courage. To do it, and have the courage to connect, and have the courage to make the ask, and have the courage to get told no. Because I'm sure you don't get a yes on everybody, right?
Yeah. Oh my gosh, I love what you just said. Courage to connect. That might be a title for my book.
Good.
Thank you, Casey. It's very productive and valuable.
That's awesome. My only one. So I only have one that I'm a fanboy of.
Yeah.
And can you just guess? Just see if you could guess. I know that you don't know me well. We're not like besties, but who do you think it is out of everybody in the world? Just one.
Someone, I mean, I imagine it would be someone who has like a similar business to you that's gay. I mean, I don't know, Mark Zuckerberg or
Richard Branson.
Richard Branson. Okay.
Gosh, I just love that guy. And so I'm thinking about signing up for their, have you ever heard of the Strive Challenge race?
No.
So this is I may have to get you to coach me.
Okay.
But I don't even know what I want to do. I mean, I just love him. I mean, there's nothing I even want from him. He's an inspiration. And so I'm signing up. I'm thinking about it. I'm trying to work the schedule out to do a Strive Challenge race where it's a 30-day race in Europe, and him and his family do it together. And there's only 40 or 50 people that do it, and it's crazy hard. So that might be my chance. I may flop, but oh,
that's so fun.
That's my thing.
Yeah.
So
yeah, and that's way to get on someone's radar is to participate in like the things that they're creating, whether it's an event, a challenge, a nonprofit they're involved in.
Right.
So yeah, I love that.
Yeah, so that's the one that makes me smile and light up. And I think I like it because anybody that's in their 70s and still has the ability and of the vigor and life and, you know, really moving forward with their life is and starting businesses and having fun and loving their family is awesome to me. So anyway, that's enough about me. Sorry about that little break. I got fanboyed.
Yeah, yeah.
So Selena, everybody listening to this, they're going to go, okay, I go to selenasoo.com.
Yeah.
Right. And they opt in. They can be part of your course. I'm sure you do some upper level coaching at some level. Is that true or no?
Yeah. Yeah. I have a mastermind. I do 1-day masterminds and a year-long one too.
Okay. So what do you want everybody to know here at the end? What would you say? Hey, here's, if this is Selena Soo signing off, this is what you need for your business.
Yeah. What's the number one thing? Yeah, I would say like join the email list. I'm going to be sending out some scripts about how to connect with influencers and share some of the emails that I've used to get the attention of people like Pat Flynn, Danielle Laporte, all these, you know, kind of like in my world, my big influencers. So yeah, I would love to help people with that.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So thank you for being on the podcast today. You have been super fun and this has been awesome. I really appreciate your time.
Thank you. Talk to you later.
Yeah, and for all the listeners, I want you to shoot me an email, Casey@allgravy, ALLgravy.io, and just put Selena's name, Selena Soo, in the subject line, and I would love to know any takeaways or any questions or maybe anybody that I can help connect you with if I know somebody, and I will. So thanks for being here, Selena, and thanks, guys, for listening to the 7 Figure CEO podcast.